morning, Service Alliance community. How's everybody doing this morning?
What's up, guys?
We have a special guest, Shayna from My Office Help this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
And Justin's on with me. No TK today.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about this one. I'm actually Shayna's newest client, so I get to do a little research as well.
Oh my goodness. Makes me a little nervous.
How's everybody's week going so far?
It started out with a vacation, and then I came into work. So
Oh, you got a break when you were hired. What are you taking vacations?
Where'd you guys go? Springfield, Missouri?
No, Springfield, Illinois.
Okay.
Jason had a meeting.
Springfield in every state.
Yeah, but our Springfield's our capital. And Abraham Lincoln lived there. So I haven't been since high school, and my kids have never been. So Jason had a meeting, so I took them, and we did a very big learning vacation, and it was really good.
Awesome.
The best vacation we've ever had. I was concerned that they would get tired of learning, but they didn't.
Absolutely.
So what'd they learn? What was special about the Capitol that they learned?
Let's see. We learned about Abraham Lincoln and his kids, like how the youngest died at the age of 4 before he came in office. The next one died at the age of 12, right after he was put in office.
Wow.
The last one, I think he died. He was still under the age of 18 when he died. So I guess he was out of office. And Lincoln is buried with his 3 youngest kids. The oldest son is the only one that outlived Abe and his wife. And,
wow.
And of course the other siblings.
That's crazy.
So their very first year in office, they actually went through a big, huge depression. And you don't read about that really in the history books, but they talked about how all the staff knew that they were going through the depression. She would actually had this room that she would go sit in and mourn most of the day. And he would spend some time every single day in the 12-year-old's bedroom every single day. So it was quite interesting. That was the biggest thing that I learned.
Didn't one of them die in the military or something? The one that was like 17, didn't he enlist early or something?
I don't remember how he died, so it is possible. I know the 4-year-old and the 12-year-old died from a disease, which was the same disease that took her sister at the same time the 4-year-old died. I don't remember how the 18-year-old died. And then of course the oldest lived out his full age.
Mike and I should know this. We're both from Illinois. It's kind of sad we don't.
I never go to Springfield.
I hope my kids aren't watching this.
Every once in a while, but never really stop. And I haven't been there since I was a kid either, so it's been a long time.
Mine was in high school. We took a trip, went to Mike Boss' office and sat in his office. And of course, then you got to go rub the nose of Abraham Lincoln at the memorial, which my kids thought was gross, but they did it. So Isaiah picked his nose. He didn't really rub it.
Grade school, I think like sixth grade is when I went. So
it's really cool.
Good morning, Saul. Finally, people are starting to comment here. Saul, at least Saul is. He's the only one. We've got our one viewer, Saul, this morning.
Yes.
Nobody wants to watch me without TK on here.
But we have Justin.
Yeah, that's why I brought backup this morning.
Where's all of Justin's followers?
Yeah, Justin.
I don't have any yet.
Here's one Facebook user. Good morning from Tennessee. Kelly, good morning. Adam's here. We got some people popping in, at least making their presence known for us, so we don't think we're here all alone. Well, I'm going to open us up in prayer. That's what we do here. If it's your first time, we're believers in God and the Bible, and we are faithful in prayer every single morning on our live streams. And so let's get to it. Dear Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for this wonderful morning. Thank you for another day to serve you. Please be with us as we go throughout our day, encountering others. Allow us to be alert. Allow us to be receptive of what's going on out there in the world and what's going on around us and the people that we do interact with, and allow us to be the vessel that you work through. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Got spares coming in from Florida, from a parking lot in Florida specifically. Which
What's up,
He was-
Gasper?
He was just on the book club, but not in a parking
just
lot.
because
so.
he said he's in a parking lot, now I have to know which parking lot.
Tell you what, he is
If you're
the
going to be that specific, you got to tell us which one.
he is the two nicest kids I've ever met in my life.
Oh, yeah.
Did you get to hang out with them a little bit down at the trade show at all?
Yeah.
They
I
are
talked to them a decent amount.
yeah, they're good guys.
Yeah. And they spoke very highly of their father. All right. So this morning, Shayna from My Office Help is with us. Shayna, how are you?
Yes. I'm good. It's bright and early. It's a great day to be here and to be alive.
Yeah. Every day is a good day to be alive. Even a bad day alive is better than a good day dead, I guess.
All right. So
Just
moving
like
on.
moving on. Let's
No.
go.
I'm excited about this segment, especially. Do you know the CSR part of our business is sometimes overlooked and really undervalued in our trade. In my opinion, after growing a business and scaling a business, it's probably the single most important part for you to be able to, it's the first contact of your company. It's usually the last contact of your company and everything in between. I really would like to get each one of my guys to have to answer the phone at least one day to experience what, these girls go through, because I didn't truly appreciate it until, me and my wife started running a business.
They might quit, Justin.
Yeah, they might. They might.
It really is. The CSR is really truly the heartbeat. Because if you don't have that seat filled correctly, your entire company can suffer, because they are the very first person to talk to that customer, and could potentially be the very last, but they're the ones that gets that information to that technician, that helps out and supports that technician while they're out there. And I do agree, technicians don't really fully understand the aspect. And I think it goes along the same when we go to hire a CSR position, especially at our company, because they have to know a lot. No matter how much we stress that this is not an easy position, they have it in their mind. It's just answering the phones. It's not that hard. No, there's more to it than just answering the phones.
Absolutely.
So
sometimes you have to be a counselor. Sometimes you have to be, seriously, our office manager, Julie, I don't even try to establish relationships with some of our vendors because she has such a good relationship with them already. And I tell her, I'm like, I don't even want to get involved unless it needs to be escalated to me or something like that. Like, you clearly have built a good relationship. Just run with it.
yeah.
I truly believe in empowering people to do their own job. I mean, micromanaging really is not an effective approach in any business.
No, it's not. But it also, when you empower, is also making sure that you have processes in place. God forbid something happens to your CSR, she quits or she gets sick, has a baby. If you don't have those processes in place and someone has to step in, you could stumble during that time. And the more processes that you can put in place to cover, the better.
Written processes, not just processes up here.
Okay. So I gotta ask you. You work with multiple appliance repair companies across the United States, right?
Yes.
Okay. So through your experience of growing your own business, what is some of the biggest mistakes you see business owners make when they approach you about needing some help? Because usually they're probably approaching you because they've tried to do it on their own and realized the importance of it, and they're not able to address a lot of those things that your company really specializes in.
I think a lot of, especially when the smaller companies, the one guy truck, they feel like they're too small for a company like mine, or to hire someone. Or a big one that I also hear is that if they give up that control, they're going to lose that touch that they have with their customers. We as humans hate change.
Sure.
And most of the time we hold on to things because we feel like it's easier. And what I find is that the owners, especially the owners that don't have anyone in the office, when they let go, they are actually realizing how much freedom that they're getting, as long as they're letting go to the right person or the right company. That's the kicker too, because not everybody is suited for answering the phones, and not every company is actually suited for really truly managing companies whenever it comes to that type of aspect. But it can be 100% freeing. EJ is a prime example of that. His wife did not want us to be 100% over the phones. But he was going on vacation for his very first week that he was with us. They were going on vacation. So he convinced her, let them answer the phones. And when we get back, you can answer the phones and they can be your backup. And by the end of the first week, she said, I don't want to answer the phones anymore. Now, she has stated that she's bored. So she's not sure. And it's been about almost 6 months now or so. She has stated she's bored, but she did tell him at one point, about 4 months in, that it was the best present he could have ever gave her. And we hear that quite often. Because there's so much she needs to be doing to run the back end, or that Everett needs to be doing, or in your case, Justin, you've got people in the office. There is so much already that they're doing.
Yeah.
That every time they have to stop to answer the phone, it takes away from the task at hand, and it takes them twice and sometimes 2 to 3 times longer to get that task accomplished.
Absolutely. And we've actually reached a point to where we're missing calls because of it. There's only so much one person can do, and sometimes we have a second person step in. But you're right. I mean, and we're costing business that we've actually marketed and paid a lot of advertising dollars towards to just let it go to the wayside.
Yeah. There's different levels of service too. You've got someone that's in-house, and just because they're in-house does not mean that they're going to do a phenomenal job. The problem with them being in-house is until they are fully trained, they really truly do need to be micromanaged. And even after they're trained, still having to check in. Like, if you have your calls recorded, every once in a while, listen to a call that's recorded and make sure they're doing the processes like they're supposed to, and they're treating your customers the way they're supposed to. It's very easy to get lazy in your task. And I've seen that even when my own company, when I had 1 or 2 people sitting next to me, we fire someone or someone quits. And after that, I realized how little they actually were doing. And now I have to make up the tasks myself. And the same goes for like the types of services out there. There's just an answering service. An answering service is good for only answering the phones. Then there's glorified answering services like Jill's office, who knows software, they somewhat know the industry. They know how to answer the phones, but they don't specialize in your company. So then companies like ours, like we train them. I train my CSRs the same way I trained my CSR when I only had service detectives. And we're in the process of revamping that even more so, taking what I had, my old school 20-year-old program, and really looking at how to turn the very first contact with that customer into an experience.
So I can say, guys, definitively, and I was one of these people that were like, I'm not gonna hire the outside service, da da da. And EJ kept telling me, man, you gotta check this out. Trust me. So when we were down in Florida, he actually showed me the attention to detail that your company's actually taken, the reports that you give, the software that you've had built. It's impressive, and I love the attention to detail. It says that you really focus on the small things, and the small things matter. I mean,
Yeah.
they really do. Especially when, someone like me who I've spent, the greater part of the last 6 years, this is my baby. And like you said, it's hard to give up control sometimes. But, when you see that you've taken all these steps to forward think about the things that I'm concerned about to begin with, it makes it a lot easier to kind of, give that a shot. So,
Yeah.
Speaking of your software, we've got a comment and a question regarding this that it's good timing. Csr says, do you need to interface with the scheduling software, specific software? So which ones do you service at the time?
Yes. Well, I'll talk about our software just a little bit. So we've been building it for just a little over a year. I would say that we're in toddler phase, maybe in kindergarten phase now. And just to back up, our company is only 4 years old. So we're still learning, we're still growing, and we still are tweaking, just like any business would. But our software currently is only connected to one dispatching software. So our software allows my team to still get reports out, even if it's not connected to the scheduling software. But House Call Pro is the only one that we currently have it connected to, just because we're still building features, and then eventually it will be connected to other software. The cool thing with the way that we're building it, so for instance, with the connection with House Call, when a phone call comes in, so say it's EJ's company name pulls up, the phone number pulls up for the caller, and if the caller is in his House Call Pro, it automatically pulls up all the customer's information for us. So we can start the first name basis right there. When I go to look them up in a House Call, I don't have to ask them the spelling of their names or what's your address to try to find them. It's easy just to copy and paste over there and get that customer pulled up. So there's a lot of great things with it being connected, but it's not, we do have other software we work with that it's not connected to. At this time, House Call is the only one.
What other ones are you planning on? Hopefully,
Service Titan might be one of them.
Service Titan is not one of them.
Okay, I've heard about them, but I've heard other people using them.
Yeah, so there are there's two software that we 100% will never work with. Service Titan, and it's only because their users are only allowed to log into one device at a time. So if I have more than one CSR on phone calls, it's just a pain because they literally have to try to know who is logged into what account. Because if you have two people log in the same account, it kicks one of them out, even if they're in the middle of creating a job. So that's one that we've found that we cannot physically do effectively and easily. The other one is Rossware. I know that that's a huge one with appliance companies, but because of the fact that it is based on a server versus the cloud, the rest of them are on. The only way for us to be able to use that is if we have almost like a Zoom link connected all day long, and it's not feasible to do something like that. So right now, the softwares we work with is Workies, ServiceWorks, and House Call. We do have the other options like for instance, we're getting into house call. So, I did tell him and his wife that if they wanted us to start answering before he 100% gets in house call, we have systems in place to still get all the customers' information, including what you need for each of the appliances over to you, and then have ways of saying, I've got all your information, I'm getting over to the dispatch, they'll be getting you on the schedule. So we do have other things like that in place for companies that if you refuse to leave Google Calendar, because there's plenty using Google Calendar.
She didn't tell me that. See, she wanted to switch over so bad. She said, yeah, they see.
I didn't tell you that.
Okay. I knew that. All
No
right.
basis.
No, we absolutely need to do it. I mean, if you're going to grow and scale a business, it's to the point where we've found our niche product. We're doing great. We're dominating the area, but you got to improve your processes as you grow. If you don't, it's going to become a fiasco.
I understand. I understand using Google Calendar. My company went from pen and paper with my grandpa, my electrical company, pen and paper with my grandpa, to Excel spreadsheets with my dad. Everybody had their own Excel spreadsheet. And when he would go back again, he would copy and paste down and redo the line items and print 2 copies. I mean, that's how we did it in the 90s. Yeah. And then I got QuickBooks and learned how to tweak QuickBooks so I could print work orders from QuickBooks. But my scheduling was still pen and paper, and then eventually moved on to Google Calendar. So I get that. But it's like, it's one of those things, you resist change, but as soon as that change happens, you're like, crud, why didn't I do that earlier? My life would have been easier.
My dad actually has a company with 23 techs, and they still do paper tickets. And they screenshot every paper ticket to every tech in the morning. But the problem is what happens when you need to go back and find that customer, right?
Yeah.
You got to go back through each individual ticket. And I watched them fight that with their business for 15 years. And I realized as soon as I start my company, I'm not starting out this way. Like, at least we're going to have some kind of base where we can go back and look through customer data. Well, and the fact that it's 2022 and they're still doing it at their size, I've said to them multiple times, I'm like, do you realize how much bigger you could be if you would actually jump off this? Like, this is insane.
Yeah. Down to priorities and willing to accept change.
Yeah. Well, so like with us, I had to create a folder. So I did the folders on my computer, and every customer had their own folder. And every time we had a piece of paper with that customer, I would have to scan it in. And then every time the technicians would be doing work for that, I had to email them all the important documents, whether it was past invoices or past electrical evaluations. I had to email all that over to them so they could have it, or even print it out. We used to have the file folder, so I'd go pull that file folder out, and here's the file with all the paperwork. So it really, I mean, it was good for its time, but it's not a need anymore. So, as we moved into House Call Pro, we actually went through and uploaded all of those onto House Call Pro. So now when Jason goes to a customer, he has all the paperwork there. And you have some that has a few pieces of papers, and I've got one that has probably at least 50 papers and pictures, and it's all there documented. Signatures. I mean, signatures are huge. How many times have you had someone come back and say it didn't work, but yet I have a picture to prove it, and I have a signature saying that it was done to your satisfaction when we left? And it's really the only truly way to, if you accept credit cards, it's the only true way to potentially win if they try to revoke, go back on that charge.
Absolutely.
You have to protect yourself.
How many staff members do you have?
I think that we're at 17 or 18. Our teams are smaller though. We have 6 to 7 on each team. And then I have several managers. We have 17. Sorry, Jason. I don't know. Anyways, we have 6 to 7 on each team. Jason doesn't count. No, Jason's on payroll with the electrical company. But anyway, we have 6 to 7 on each team. We have an East Coast team because half of my companies are actually on the East Coast. And then we have a Central Mountain West Coast team. Central Texas, man, that has exploded this last year. We love our Texans. They're so nice.
So for me, when I'm looking at it from a standpoint of, we've talked about expanding into other areas, other cities, and that's probably going to be a likely scenario in the years to come because I have guys that work for me that I feel like if I don't give them that opportunity, that I might lose them because they have that entrepreneurial spirit, and I would rather give them their own location than lose them. Starting with a one-man show, I would think the biggest positive of hiring a company like yourself is when you're taking that chance as a one-man show, or even if you have 1 or 2 employees, hiring a CSR and relying on that one person and hope you get it right the first time. I mean, the best part about what your company offers is the reliability and trust of it is if someone quits, you have 15 more people to step in place.
We do. And even still, so I don't know who's going to be over your account, but you will have someone over your account and they have a backup. That backup has to know your company just the same as the frontline person. And then on top of that, my managers have to know every single company. So if they have to step in, they can also step in also. So they do have to know a lot of companies, but we've set up our processes as, one of those painstaking things that we failed at the first couple of years, and learning and growing and maturing. It's CSRs, call centers. We don't consider a call center, but CSRs, people on the phone, they have a high turnover rate across the whole industry, and that includes in having one person in your office. It is a huge turnover rate, even more so than technicians. And we think that technicians come in and out. CSRs come in and out even more. Let's just rephrase it. The lower the pay, the faster, the more of a turnover.
Absolutely.
Churn in multiple industries, and I mean, it doesn't really matter what industry you're in.
Yeah.
Seems like that position definitely churns more help.
Well, Travis makes a great point too about they already have experience too. You don't have to train them. I mean, I'm sure there's a little bit of a learning curve as you get to know a company, right? Because we all do it a little differently. But having some knowledge in our industry, the biggest thing that I've learned through training CSRs is a lot of these people that come into our company and we're trying to train, they have no idea about appliance repair, right? They have a washer, but beyond using one, they're not going to know, hey, Lex works on this kind of washer, but he doesn't work on this kind of fridge or whatever.
Yep. So Zach Kreider was the only appliance company we had pre-COVID. And I did have a CSR that came in and she goes, "Is a washing machine an appliance?"
Really?
Okay, you do live with your mom, so we'll give you a little bit of a break. But that's literally what happens. Now, since COVID, everyone stayed home. We are over 50% appliance now. And we've actually kicked some industries, we will not bring them on anymore. But appliance companies, I don't know, it's just something we found. We've found systems and been able to put systems in place that none of the other companies have been able to. And we absolutely love appliance companies, especially ones in Texas.
So what kind of markets do you serve right now?
As far as industries?
Yeah, in the service.
Well, our primary is appliance, electrical, and plumbing. We have a few others. Got an installation company coming on board right now. We do have a landscaper, Christmas light. We've had pest control, so same pest control is another hard one.
What about HVAC?
Yeah. No. They're a least favorite. Now, if you had an appliance company with the HVAC, okay.
Oh, I mean, a lot
I was
of
about to say, did
I know,
that
Justin and I
not
talked
first
about
close
this.
to you?
the owners in the appliance repair industry do also
Yeah.
HVAC, such
Yeah.
as Justin. So
Yeah.
Well, and I get the stigma. I mean, if you've ever been on a HVAC Facebook group,
They're a different breed.
It's a different animal. They
And
are.
I
There's a
can
lot
say
of
that
prima
too.
donnas.
We had a heating air. We added heating air onto our company, and we had it for 5 years, and we sold it and got out of it.
Really?
It really truly is a different breed of company.
No, I get it completely.
Yeah.
Even when you go in the part suppliers on the HVAC side, it's a different vibe. People are not very willing to give you any information or even be cordial.
Yeah.
Like in the appliance repair supply house, I know everybody in this city because, I mean, at the end of the day, like, I don't look at my competitors as competition. I'm in competition with myself.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing and we're doing it right, I don't need to worry about them, right?
Yeah.
But in that industry, it's cutthroat. First of all, guys will cut each other's throat to make a sale because the dollars are so much bigger too. And I think that's part of it. Is one sale could be $10,000, and that's a different dynamic than it is in appliance repair.
Yeah.
I will say this, you know, my first HVAC guy, when I decided to expand into HVAC, I spent the off season trying to train him on appliances, and he flat out said to me, you know, when I came into this, I thought appliance repair was like, you know, one of these unknown trades that it's kind of a joke, da da da. He's like, honestly, this trade is way harder than HVAC. I said, yeah, there's thousands of products. I mean, it's a different animal.
Yeah.
So Shayna, what given the different industries that you've worked with, what would you say is, you know, the biggest thing that companies need to work on that would make a transition to a company like yours easier?
I think a lot of it is just mindset, and that goes to a lot of things in our lives. The mindset that you do not have to wear all the hats, and that if you aren't wearing all the hats, that your business will fail. And that goes for really any change that needs to happen in the business. So many of us, we try not to change. We keep things the same. The same goes for like this, what you guys are offering at Service Alliance. You know, what you guys are offering is the processes we were just discussing in the book club, the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. Sorry, I had to turn and look at the name of it. And today's was about the process. And you guys have put those processes already out there so they don't have to. I think it was Gaspar said that he tried to create the processes, which caused more pain. And you don't have to create the processes. Just like when my husband and I took over the electrical business, ours, it really truly was a mom and pop shop, but we didn't create the processes. We reached out and we found organizations that helped us create these processes. I didn't learn to become good on the phones by just practicing. I learned to be good on the phones by going to training and sitting and learning and lots of role playing. And it's a process, it's a change, and it's a mindset. And that's where we as owners, you know, just changing our mindset. Like, we want big businesses, we want to be successful, but we try to find that success within ourselves, and we try to do it using the processes we already know. I hope that makes sense.
Absolutely. Doug's got a really good question. What had been your most surprising positive reaction from a customer who joined your company?
I think the most surprising was actually EJ's wife. I really truly was, because she really fought it. She really truly did. But the fact that she said that was the best gift he could have given her. I had a appliance company in Texas. We have an appliance company in Texas. He is a second generation owner. He's like, I don't know, 50s, and he just does it for extra income. He doesn't need the income, and he was only running 3 to 4 calls a day, and he was booked out 1 to 2 days in advance. Within 2 weeks, I think it was 2 weeks of answering his phones, 1 week, 2 weeks of answering his phones, he was booked 3 to 4 weeks out. So that's another one. Like, we weren't like, he's like, oh, I do want 3 to 4 calls a day. And we're like, okay. And then we took over the phones, and he realized how many phone calls he truly was missing because he didn't answer, or he said he would call him back, or I think he was one of them also that said he would tell him a day and time and then forget to put it on his schedule because he was in the middle of working on an appliance. Yeah. So I would say those are my two biggest.
A month. And I mean, that's easily could be $1,200 left at minimum on the table.
Yeah.
That you're throwing out. So
absolutely. Well,
when you're throwing that kind of money out the window, and then you're considering the cost of a service like what you offer, I mean, there's ROI in that alone.
Mm-hmm. And that's what
look at it. So
that's why I tell a lot of them, we pay for ourselves, because all it takes is you had your hand inside of that refrigerator and you can answer a phone call, and we book that one phone call and we've paid for ourselves. Now it's not just one phone call, but all it takes is one.
Right.
Yeah, especially if you're a one-man show. I mean, you're working on things, you're answering, you're scheduling, you're doing way too many things. So how much more efficient could you be by taking that off your plate? It just makes sense to me.
One of the things that my wife was in the situation where I kind of dragged her into this. She didn't have any inkling to own an appliance repair business. She didn't want any part of it, honestly. But once she got away from those phones, she got the ability to work on the business instead of in the business. And like, her advertising eye is just incredible. She's really good at that kind of stuff. Loves working on graphic design, does our trucks, does all that stuff. And it shows, because now she gets to do what she loves, and it shows, in what we're putting out there. So I completely agree. I mean, so many guys that I talk to, you get beat down by those phones. I mean, there's no doubt about it. It's the toughest job in our industry. I truly believe that.
And then if you don't have systems set up, then we actually set up IVRs to keep spam from coming in. And once we set those up, our actual call volume went down by 20%. So you think 20% of the phone call that actually come to your office or to the owner's cell phone are actually truly spam calls.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to think that.
Yeah.
And once again, you're in the middle of a project, you answer the phone, even if it's as simple as that. Multitasking is not truly a thing, because if multitasking was, you'd be able to keep on going at the same exact pace, and you don't. Picking up the phone stops you from where you're at, and then you have to pick back up, and it can take you 2 to 3 or more times longer to finish that task because of just stopping.
Absolutely. Well, and the first thing that came to my mind when you said, that guy that started working with you in a month, he was booked out 3 to 4 weeks. I mean, the first thing that popped in my head is, well, now I have an opportunity where I can train, because I need to bring people in. If I'm booked out 3 to 4 weeks, I need to be hiring. You know what I mean? And that takes a lot of time and focus to train technicians. It's a whole different animal to train a tech. It takes a lot of time and resources. And this is something that at every convention I've been to in the last 5 years, this is like the number one topic, is training technicians. Yeah. And it's something that constantly is evolving. I've actually got to a point where I'm training 2 guys at one time because I got tired of putting all my eggs in one basket. And, you just try things, and if it works, great. If not, you move on to the next thing.
I understand that, the whole training technicians. So it's not fun.
Let's answer
it's hard just
real quick.
Oh, sure.
Have you thought about expanding into CSR training for companies?
So we have. it's going to be a little bit down the road. We have toyed around with the idea. It's not, we don't have a time frame on that. Our next rollout is actually going to be, our platform is actually going to be released for other companies to use for their CSRs, which will start you're within our platform, you're able to see every single call your CSR intakes and outtakes. You're able to see their call conversion ratio. You're able to see your marketing, because there's two different types of tracking of your marketing. And that's all within our platform. You're able to track their time, because like House Call Pro, unless they log into the app, there's no time tracking for CSRs. There's nothing on the desktop. And we're in the process of getting it connected to QuickBooks, which will help with payroll. I mean, there's like all their HR documents can be in there. Every single one of your team members' documents. So, I mean, like, it's a big, huge process. That's our next release, is actually being able, we're building the software now. We're finalizing some stuff inside of our software, and then we'll be releasing that actually to be leased out to companies. CSR training, I can see that. It's going to be down the road still.
Travis, the short answer is
soon.
It doesn't sound soon. Come on. It doesn't sound soon.
Hey, it'll be sooner than later.
On the roadmap.
It's on the roadmap.
It's on the roadmap.
We don't know what time. We don't know, but we are actually in the process of redoing our training. And I think once we redo our training, then that will be probably a little bit closer. Our training is okay. Like, it gets our CSRs the knowledge they need, but we want to redo that. We've really been looking into, like, for instance, Disney, and how Disney trains, and how every no matter if you're a trash guy or if you're a princess, it's all about creating the experience for the people that come through those doors. And so that's the idea that we have behind as we're redoing our training. And then that will be one of the steps to actually be able to push that out. So we're in phase number 1 in that. So lots of phases still to go in creating that training process.
All right, next question. How do you handle warranty work, and do you handle their paperwork?
Well, I personally don't. But yes, we can. We've had our hands in a lot. I don't know about most, but a lot of the warranty companies. So we do understand that. Andy, who is my COO, who sits next to me, he is super good at systems and processes. So anytime we have a company come in with a warranty company that we've never used before, he actually walks through and he creates the whole process step by step. So those are things that we can do as well.
Okay. Gasper wants to know, can you interface with Samsung or other manufacturers?
That I would need more information on, because I am not sure how we would need to interface.
Okay.
So unless he's talking about warranty work.
So I know this is going to be a hot topic question. I kind of already know the answer, but you guys do have weekend and off hours services, right? It's a different charge, but you do offer it.
So most of our companies are 8 to 4:30.
Okay.
Just like if they were to hire someone else. Our full office hours, which are, some of the companies do have that. EJ is one of them. I think he's got full office. He has extended hours. I don't know if it's full, but our full office hours are 7 to 6:30 Central Time. Saturday we do offer 8 to 4:30 Central Time.
Awesome.
And no one works on Sundays.
Nope. God works on Sundays.
That's right.
Just God.
At least take Sunday off for yourself and family.
I am a huge believer in not in your family coming first.
Yeah.
So that includes my team. And we were originally going to go 24/7, but as we moved away from heating and air, which is the ones that need it the most, and moved more into appliance and companies that don't necessarily need 24/7, then we have taken that off the roadmap.
Yeah, even I was watching another podcast about the whole 24/7 experience, and I found it just amazing, especially in the HVAC industry, how all these people are claiming that they have 24/7 service, and 95% was the average of the study that was done across the entire nation. 95% it was a bunch of crap, that they really don't offer 24/7 or emergency services. It's just going to a call center or, you know, something like that, and no one, or it goes into the abyss on an answering machine and nobody ever calls back.
Yep. Well, you know what
So
it is, Mike. From a standpoint of advertising wise, if you leave your office hours 24/7, that organic ranking on Google, you stay up at the top even after hours. And that's why I think there's a lot of approach on it with the internet. I actually started out doing 24/7 service, and we would do uh, a, a really high service call fee if you needed a fridge fixed at 10 o'clock at night. And I did many of them. The cost of doing that at the end of the day, between, you know, your the psychological toll, what it does to my family, and not giving my guys the ability to really take a break, it's not
yeah.
worth it. It's just not. I mean,
Well, so like with us, so electrical, it really is a 24-hour job. But we're very picky. Like, so we use an answering service. The answering service would warm transfer over any actual true emergencies to us. But I mean, being small, we have the yes, we can take it, or no, we can't take it. But if we didn't take it, here's a number for you to call. We were very picky about those though, because most of the time with electrical and even heating air, when we had heating air, it's an emergency. So these people aren't expecting it. So the average ticket on those were so much lower. They want you in, fix the problem, and get out. And our tickets are much higher whenever we're servicing the customers during regular office hours, because most of those they fall more in the I'm waiting for this fix, so I've had a little time to think about it, process it. They've had time to calm down from the situation, because you know when something bad happens, get those phone calls, those people are escalated. So they don't think straight, and it's a much harder sell to get them to do actual true repairs other than just the band-aid that they need.
Great. All right. Well, we can wrap this up. We've been on for almost an hour. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I want to thank you, Shayna. It's been a wealth of information on this topic. And who thought that we'd talk this long about CSR stuff? There's a lot, you know. There's a
That's
lot.
because we're important.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I mean CSR outsourcing. You know, I didn't think that there would be this much, you know, that we would have talked about. You know, I was like, oh, maybe we'll be 20, 25 minutes, but it's been a really good conversation. So I really want to thank you for coming on and sharing with us and your experience with everything.
Most definitely. I actually told her in Florida, I said, I was mad I didn't come up with the idea myself, because it is a huge need in our industry. I mean, so if any of you guys out there are one-man shows and you've been thinking about hiring a CSR, I highly encourage you to at least reach out. I mean, the thing is we all know you can't answer the phones well and do the service calls. You're already at that point, you're overwhelmed. The best decision you can make is hire somebody on the phones. It's without question.
Yep.
Anybody that's run an appliance repair business will tell you the second they did, like with EJ, able to take a week off, and he called me after that week vacation and said, oh my God, man, I could literally, like, nothing happened. You know, the walls didn't cave in. It wasn't the end of he came back and his business is still running smoothly. So
Yeah.
pretty cool.
And those of you who are All Access members, Shayna is one of our partners in the Service Alliance group. So if you are one of our All Access members, log into your account, go to the vendors area and send her a message. There's a form in there. Send her an email from that form and she'll get in touch with you. And there's some discount offers in there that we can't mention here that are specific for our members. So if you're not a member, you're missing out. But if you're not a member, just pick up the phone, give her a call. I'm sure she'll love to talk to you or Andy, whoever.
myofficehelp.com. Set up a
office.
call with me.
Yep. All right. Well,
Great.
thank you for coming on again.
Thanks for letting me.
Look forward to doing more with you. And, maybe we should get with you and put some CSR training tips together.
When we start, like I said, we're in the process of building those. So yeah, we can work on that.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Well, everybody have a great day.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.